School definitely does teach you tons of stuff that you use in your everyday life, like how to calculate the length of our hypotenuse, why some clouds are cumulonimbus, and why cute pictures of me and Beth getting engaged magically stick to the fridge. I mean, I'm kind of joking. I think that school does give us a decent understanding of the world around us, but I do think that there are some key things that we miss in traditional education. So in this video, I'm showing the top 4 skills that we weren't taught in school and the steps that I've taken to teach them to myself. Okay, first skill is how to live sustainably, which means creating a lifestyle for yourself that keeps you happy and healthy for the long term. The problem with the habits we build in school is that they're based on these massive peaks and troughs in workload. So we might have a really intense period where we're working really hard towards exams or an essay we have to hand in. Then you have periods of a few weeks or even up to a few months where you have literally nothing to do. You can travel, you can chill out, you can watch TV, you can game, you can do whatever you want to do. So when you start work and suddenly have to get up at the same time every day, commute to work, get home from work, eat, sleep, repeat, is kind of a shock to the student version of yourself who could get up at 10 AM every day through June, July, and August. Sure, there are peaks and troughs in how busy you are at work, but they're way more shallow generally than they are when you're a student. And also your career is just way longer than your period studying, which means it's way more important that you build a lifestyle that you can sustain for tens of years. When I first started work, I applied that intense student pre-exam Liam to my job and was exhausted and burnt out after about 3 months. And so I have spent the last couple of years reading books, applying techniques to try to build a much more sustainable lifestyle, which I share on this channel. But to just give you the highlight reel of some of the techniques that I found most helpful, first, get a minimum of 6 hours sleep nearly every night. As a student, you can afford to go periods where you have 4 hours sleep because you're out partying and then studying really hard the next day because you have these down periods to recover. But as an employee, if you have to regularly spend your weekends basically in bed to recover and get the sleep back that you've missed during the week, it really honestly sucks and just isn't sustainable. It isn't always possible, but even if I'm on a late night out or working super hard at work, I really do everything I can to try and get at least 6 hours. Second, build a morning routine that prioritizes you. Get into the habit of doing whatever it is that you find valuable. That could be going for a walk, writing in a journal, doing some exercise, going to the gym, practicing gratitude, just having a delicious cup of coffee, or reading the news. I think just being conscious of what you're doing with your morning is a huge transition from student life where you could just literally roll out of bed to a virtual online lecture, or just not roll out of bed at all. And third, build habits that make you happy. I really recommend getting at least one hobby when you start work, something that gives you joy. It's not a waste of time if it gives you joy. So it could be Beth has joined a choir, I make videos and run a business. Walking, gym classes, pottery, collecting records, following a football team, or going to the theatre are all valuable hobbies that you could build to give you something to focus on outside of your job. If you're looking for a tool to help you stick to your habits and hobbies, I personally use an app called the Done app, which I find super helpful. So I'll include a link in the description where you can download it and use it for free for a year. The second skill is financial literacy. Some of the biggest life decisions that we make are fundamentally financial decisions. Getting married and having kids, kind of financial, and then other decisions like buying a house or a car, retiring, or even quitting your job, all financial decisions. I think there are 4 main areas where you need to improve your financial literacy. The first of those is to do with your earnings. So how can you maximize the amount you're bringing in each month by changing roles, by negotiating a higher salary, or by creating a side hustle? I think one of the best resources on this is a book by Ramit Sethi, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. The second area is taxes. So really understanding how you can reduce the amount of tax you pay each month. I think it's crucial that you understand tax rates in your country for different things like property investments, for your income, for capital gains. If you don't know what those rates are off the top of your head, you probably should. It also means understanding how in the UK, for example, increasing pension contributions lowers tax liability, or how creating your own business could help you deduct expenses from your income and therefore pay less tax. The third area is then investing. So how should you invest your hard-earned cash each month? And I first recommend watching YouTube videos. And second, I'd recommend reading Tony Robbins' book Unshakable, which gives you some really useful recommendations for the psychology behind investing and effectively how to invest for the long term. And then the fourth is borrowing, understanding credit scores, understanding how interest rates operate and the impact they have on your life. For example, should you buy a house right now or should you continue renting? So here are some of the books that I recommend you read in order to improve your financial literacy. So another skill that's super important is being open and honest about how we're feeling and working generally to improve our mental health. And one of the best ways I've found to do that is speaking to a therapist using BetterHelp, today's sponsor. I've spoken in the past pretty openly about how I really struggled in my second year of university, putting tons of pressure on myself to study all the time, comparing myself to others, and making myself so anxious that I developed IBS. At that time, speaking to a therapist massively helped me, and now I've begun regular therapy using BetterHelp as a preventative tool to look after my mental health. Talking to a therapist when I feel like I want to about any anxieties I have, or ways that I can reduce stress. BetterHelp's onboarding assesses your needs and matches you with your own licensed professional therapist. They have a very broad range of expertise within their therapist network, with over 20,000 therapists currently on the platform. You can use the time with your therapist as suits you, scheduling weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly sessions as you want, and you can message your therapist at any time. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy and so much more convenient. So yeah, you can visit betterhelp.com/Liam Porritt. That's better, HELP/Liam Porritt, through the link at the top of the description to join over 2 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. Plus, you'll get 10% off your first month. The third skill you don't learn in school is making choices. So sure, you have to choose your university course and make some elections along the way, but basically most of your life is prescribed for you. Whereas when you get out into the big wide world, you have to make tiny choices all the time. What you're gonna cook this week, whether you're gonna have another cup of coffee, what you're gonna spend the money you earn on. And then you have a whole load of way bigger life choices to make. Which friends, which job, which hobbies, which life partner, and kids. The problem is that we live in a world that is more full of choice than ever before, but we have less training than ever before in how to actually make those choices. This is called the paradox of choice, and in a 2001 study by Liengar and Lepper, they basically gave two groups of people choices of jam. On one table they had just 6 types of jam, on the other they had 24 types of jam. If someone came up and tried some jam, they would be given a $1 discount, and they then just measured how many people ultimately bought jam. The outcome was that the table with 6 types of jam made more money than the other table, because people with too much of an abundance of choice just didn't make a decision at all. The biggest danger for us then is never actually making any choices. When we're faced with loads of different options, we just sort of fall into things, we bumble along through life. Instead, be more conscious, make low risk choices where you can try something for a few weeks, you can try out a new hobby, you can give something a go. If you like it, then you can stick with it, and if you don't, then you can move on to something else. You can make a choice to stop and go in a new direction. And I get that, like, making big life choices is absolutely scary, but I try as much as I can to make small choices that I can try something out, I can see how it goes for a period, and then make a bigger decision later down the line, but having made a choice to at least try it in the first place. And the fourth and final skill is what I'm going to call investing in a balanced portfolio of life. So at school, a significant part of our identity is tied to our academic success, whether we like it or not. And I think this is, to be honest, pretty dangerous at school, and continues then to be dangerous if we take that attitude forward into our work lives. Bad things happen, people break up, jobs turn out not to be what we thought they would be, and that amazing holiday we've been working towards for years turns out actually not to give us that much satisfaction. So as Grace Beverley encourages you to do in her book, think of your life as a pie chart and look at how much time and how much emphasis you're placing on each of the different elements of your life, and consider, are you placing too much emphasis on any one thing? For me, I've worked really hard on moving my identity away from just my job and this channel towards all of the other different components that make up my life. If you feel like any one of these elements is too dominant in your life, try spending more time and effort on a relationship, a goal, or a hobby to redraw your pie chart so that it looks more balanced. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do give it a like. It really honestly helps so much get this video seen by more people, and drop down in the comments what you would say is the #1 skill or skills that you should have learned at school but didn't. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking again very, very soon.